Ladies and gentlemen, in the main event of the winner by unanimous decision.
Mina's house. 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 Mina, say what? Thank you for watching. It's the Mina's House podcast. Welcome to the Mina's House podcast. It is Mina, say what? Another edition, and I am so happy. I have a married couple of 14 years here. I don't even know how you get to that place, but then they work together. How? Don't you guys fight every day? How do you work together and you live together? And they have three children, three girls. I'm talking about Mike Jackson and Egypt Sherrod are here joining us on the Mina's House podcast.
Hey.
And
Mina.
you guys are so flirty over here.
Yeah, I'm saying she's too far from me. Come over. It's too much space.
He picks with me
Come
all
over
day,
here.
Mina. You said, how do they stay married for 14 years and work together? I don't know. I asked myself that question, so no, I'm joking.
We don't leave space in between podcasts.
Podcasts.
That's a new word.
That is a new one. Is that like 3 S's?
Yeah.
Podcasts.
How do you hold on to this for so long?
21 years. 14,
21 years together.
15.
14.
This year is 15
Yep.
years
15
of
years
marriage.
married.
And 21 years
And you
together.
still want to put your hand around her. Like,
She's sexy.
I think I'm holding up well, girl.
you
We
got
holding it up.
No, you holding up very good. I
Very
always thought her
sexy.
booty is booty, and it's not out today, but I've seen it.
Look, it was bootylicious before Destiny Child. Okay? But no, we continue to date. We continue to flirt. We continue to make sure we like each other, not just love each other, right? Because a lot of people may love people they don't like, you know, and that's key for us. We make sure it's not a competition in relationships. A lot of people try to compete with each other, especially when you're in the same business, working together. They're like, oh my God, they want you more than they want me, or you're getting paid. That doesn't matter to us. It's one household. It's one love. It's just one across the board. So I think that's what allows us to go for 21 years plus. You know,
I find that incredible because I can't imagine working with my man. I can't. Because then you have these moments where you're on each other's nerves, which is natural.
Y'all don't see that. That's on the editing room floor. You never see that on TV. But the whole crew knows. They'll be like, Egypt and Mike are at it again.
But how do you, you have no space alone,
That's
right?
not true.
No,
That's
we
not
have
true.
our me time.
Okay.
And we make sure and that's another key. We make sure we give each other me time without, you know, feeling like there's some distrust. You know what I mean? What I mean by that, she can have her girls' night. I don't care what you do, where you go. You know what I mean? Because I trust you.
Remember
and vice
you said
versa.
that,
And
right?
vice versa.
Does she got to come back by 12?
No.
Does she got to come? Are you the one that, where you at?
No,
It's 12
not at all.
o'clock.
Let me
No.
just know, I turn into a pumpkin at 10 p.m.
Where you at?
Not at all.
You said you was going to be home at 11:30.
So
There's none of that.
Here's what I say, Mina. Like, so I did the stiletto hustle for so many years. And ladies, you know what I'm talking about. When you're out in these single streets, it's not fun, and you're dating and you're meeting a lot of clowns and you're trying to make squares fit into round. Oh wait, that didn't come out right. Round
Spaces.
Right.
spaces fit into square pegs. It sounds better that way. But it's, you know, and then what we find ourselves doing is like constantly questioning people. You know, you're not friends. The relationship can't flow because you're just trying too hard. You know it's right when you don't have to. You really don't even have to try. It just flows. The relationship flows. We started working together. That's how we first fell in love, over black mold. No questions. But it was a renovation.
He got rid of black mold?
Well, he was working as a
I
contractor.
know, but
in
you
one
know
of my
how hard
investment
that
companies.
is? That's a miracle in itself.
Yeah.
That would have made me fall in love too. Oh, you got rid of the black mold? I didn't have to pay $10,000? Oh, yes.
So I was already crushing on him, right? But then I had a horoscope one day. I was reading it as I went by one of my Newark properties, and it said, like, the love you've been looking for is right under your nose. And he was under the sink fixing something. And
Literally.
And I was like, I know, right? Like, I'm saying that in my head, right? I was crushing on him too. And it just works, you know? And no, So what you guys have to realize is you're watching us on TV, which is 42 minutes of intense time with Egypt and Mike.
Right.
But the project itself may have taken 4 months.
Yeah.
So we're not always together. I'm mostly in the office designing, and he's off in the field.
Yeah, but she's not talking about just the show, because folks do bring that up as well a lot. We have the show, we have the Marriage and Money podcast, we have
Right.
stuff that people see through our social media platforms, and they're like, you guys are together all the time.
Yeah.
For the most part, yeah. But we also, like I said, we give each other space to be our unique selves, because a lot of relationships, people lose themselves in the relationship, and they're like, I don't ever do anything that I like, or I'm always doing what they like. That's
gets
where you mess
boring.
up. That's where
Yeah.
you mess up, because you were doing a lot of things before you got into the relationship that you
Right.
love.
Yeah.
You got to get back to that, or you got to continue to do that so you can grow together, and you have to evolve as well. You're not going to be the same person you were when you first met.
Yeah.
Right? So we meet each other constantly over and over again.
Did you feel like you were losing independence, or do you still feel independent?
How so? What do you mean?
Because
Can you hear me well? I'm sorry. Do I need to? Here we go.
Sound great.
I asked that because you're in a relationship where you're sharing everything. So you're no longer doing it on your own. And what I know about you is you were doing it on your own. So was there some compromise there where you had to set that aside a little bit, where like, I don't need to do it on my own. Now I got to learn how to let someone help me do it?
No, because when I was a radio personality, I had done that for years before I met Mike. Television, though, once I was over at HGTV, Mike was already in the picture, and what many people didn't know is he was helping me behind the scenes. The cameras just weren't on him. That wasn't the design of the shows that I happened to be on during that time. But I remember saying to our old production company, like, hello, the real show is happening behind the scenes. Like,
Yeah.
this is the real
Right.
planning. This is what it takes to renovate homes and like do all of this. I would say now it's better. It's more fun. Like, for instance, we were on the road this weekend because I was launching my furniture and soft goods line.
Congratulations.
Thank you. In JCPenny. Well, he was DJing. He's the DJ at the store.
I was going to get to that because I've seen that in your bio.
But like, we have babysitters, so this turns into a date weekend for us.
Right,
That
right.
wouldn't be fun if I was on these roads by myself.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you keep talking about the show. You are on a top-rated HGTV Married to Real Estate series, okay, and show that's been on for 4 seasons, and it's consistently top 5, right? Or it in the ratings. Congratulations!
Thank you.
What?
Thank you.
And
Blessings
you're
on
doing this
blessings.
together. And Egypt, you and I spoke last year. Then you ventured off into designing, right? Indigo Road. And then you're designing home decor. It was on Wayfair. And now we're in JCPenny.
Yes, sir.
How did you make that transition from selling online to now a brick and mortar 300 stores everywhere?
It's been a journey. It was a 2-year journey of developing and building a business. But I think it was also a natural evolution. Just like for me, becoming a designer over a decade ago was a natural evolution from flipping houses and being a real estate agent and staging them for clients. Then it was like, trust yourself and, where you're going now. And I remember Mike saying to me, no, own it. You are a designer. And I was like, but I'm a real estate broker. Are they really going to want me to design? He's like, trust it. Own it.
I love it.
So then same thing, it was like, hey, the genius move is to make sure everybody can take a piece of something I designed home. So we did. We started online, indigoroad.com. And it's like, hey, if Chip and Joanna Gaines could do this, why can't Egypt and Mike do this?
Right.
So, yeah, JCPenny picked us up, Wayfair, Target.com, and we're going to keep growing.
I love it. I love it. Talk about some of the pieces in your line.
Yes.
How about we just send you some and you feature
Oh.
them right on your
Okay, we have some covers, some duvet, we have
Comforters,
pillows,
right.
comforters, we have furniture.
Yes, we do. We have it
Yeah.
all. We're gonna have rugs soon. We're gonna have lighting soon as well. But it's gonna be your one-stop shop, just
Right.
like Indigo Road is your one-stop shop for real estate renovation and design.
Right.
That's our other businesses.
Yeah. So, is there any change that comes from the manufacturing side of it, from selling online to brick and mortar?
There is some things you can manufacture and distribute yourself. Some things you need an intermediary, you need a partner, a licensing partner like Lichtenberg or East at Maine that we work with, Jafon. Sometimes you can create, find local craftsmen. I think what was wonderful, we did family trips. Like we took the kids and went to Bali, or we went to Morocco, or we went here and there and actually sourced local craftsmen. And we wanted to actually give women in business in these different countries an opportunity, right? They're sitting there weaving beautiful Berber blankets, and you're like, oh my God, how can I get like 100 of these?
Right.
And then they charge you like $5. You're like, no, you're supposed to. But for them, that means a lot,
Right.
So we're empowering small villages as well. So it really does take a village to launch a line the way we're doing it and get it in more than 300 stores.
Right.
Yeah.
So you came back this weekend to the Cherry Hill Mall, which Egypt, you're from Philadelphia, so you're in the area. What did that feel like to come back home and you now have your own line in JCPenny?
It's insane. Number one, my dad is the general manager at Cherry Hill Mall.
What?
Yep.
Shut up.
My entire family, we're from Philly, but they all kind of migrated over to Jersey, so they're there.
Right.
Everybody shows up. I get there, and the line is like around the store, out the door, around the building, and you're nervous, right? I'm nervous, like, hey, I'm coming back to Philly. Are they going to show up for me? And man, did they show up. Temple University was in the building. I'm a TU grad.
Yes.
I'm from West Oak Lane.
Wow.
My granddad used to work at Girls High. I went to Henry Houston. My dad is a Penn State grad. So all of that culmination together at one location, and everyone's like, yeah, my old babysitter showed up. When I was like 6, she used to babysit me, and there she is. I'm like, what are you doing standing in line to see me? So it was surreal, I felt full, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
How was it, Mike, watching that?
Fulfilling. I felt so happy for her, because it was something she's been wanting to do for an extremely long time. We would have conversations about it. I would eardrop and hear her on the phone and Zooms, and I'm like, this is so dope. I already see it, right? But to see the folks actually show up and not just show up for a photo, but they're in there purchasing things. This is the third stop we're going to be doing Long Island, but they're selling out of the majority of the products. To see something go from nothing and then it's, causing all this traction is amazing. For me, what I find to be so prideful of is when everything's done and I actually go in the aisle and I'm like, my baby's face is all on these items. That's so dope to me.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so dope, Again, it's not, why not me? It's my baby.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? And I love the fact that, we brought Kendall out to one as well. She got to see
Your daughter.
Mama in action. She got to see the materials and like, wow, my mama had something in the store. Like, this isn't something they've just been talking about at the kitchen table.
Yeah.
And then she says, so you have furniture now, so that means you're making more money? Can I get a raise in my allowance?
I know that's right.
She never misses a moment.
So were any of these pieces inspired by anyone? Like, how did you come up with the vision for this?
Worlds traveled. I really wanted everyone, no matter background, where you're from, religion, race, and all of that. I wanted everyone to be able to see their heritage in Indigo Road. So it definitely represents worlds traveled. We have inspiration and tables that give you, Rome. When we went to Rome, to the Colosseum, and then I came and we created a table that sort of reminded you of that. Morocco, our trips to Morocco, South Africa, and some of the amazing patterns and tribal inspirations we saw there. And so, yes, all the pieces are different, but still cohesive.
Right, right. Wow, congratulations, Egypt. That's incredible. And you're a Black woman in JCPenny.
Hey!
Like, please talk about that.
Well, so
You're forging a path here.
So JCPenney did not get rid of their DEI programs. They've got an amazing slew of talent. Gabrielle Union has a line there. Michael Strahan has a line there as well. And so it's just amazing to see many Black and brown creators being embraced, but not just being embraced, also showing up with incredible quality products that the public comes and we know that our dollars count. We know that our dollars, you know, when we get together, we can spend some money. So let's spend it on the brands that represent us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was that the thinking that went into you choosing JCPenny? How did we arrive there?
No, JCPenny
Chose
chose
you.
us.
I know that's right.
So, you know, it's part of the process, like when you're wanting to get picked up, you know, and get in retail spaces as well, is, you know, you can invite them out during a market. We call it market, like High Point Market, etc. So we invite them to our showroom. We have a showroom in New York, and they can come and see all the great things we have, and then they'll make special requests as to what they know are going to sell for their clients. And we created a capsule line that is exclusive for JCPenny. So when you go on indigoroad.com, you see a whole bunch of other things that we created that you won't find in JCPenny. But when you go on JCPenny, you'll see things that are exclusive to them.
So that was one of my questions. Are these lines different when you go from Target to Wayfair to
Yes.
your what? So
Yes.
everything is individualized for whatever platform.
Yes,
Right.
yes. And that's the
Wow.
beauty of being in a creative space. Like, I'm headed to New York when I leave you to go work on our next collection as
Go
well.
ahead,
But we
Egypt.
got direct feedback from these in-stores of clients saying, you know, I really would like if you did something that was more like a slate blue.
Right.
So we go take that feedback, you know, and utilize it.
Right.
Did you ever see yourself here as a designer with, you know, merchandise in a store?
It's so funny.
Like, I think that's so incredible because I grew up listening to you. So to watch you evolve, I wonder if you saw that for yourself.
I think we have to see it first. We have to be able to visualize the stretch. And, you know what, Mina, and my husband knows this, there's been a lot of crash and burn moments. A lot. The failures we don't always publicize, but I think it's important to tell our truth on the journey. I've had moments of tears where I thought it wasn't going to work out. We've had moments where we're like, are we even getting another season of our
Right.
television show? We've had, when I was in radio, standing on an unemployment line, and you know how it is in radio. If you
Yeah.
lose a job, you might have to move across the country for your next one.
Right.
So I've had a lot of those crash and burn moments. So I've learned to be intentional about what I'm calling to my life. I was vision boarding before we knew what vision boarding was.
Right.
My whole bedroom, I just had magazine clippings and tapings and newspaper things and apply them to myself. And I would every day get up and pray and meditate on that. Put little sticky notes on my window and in
Love
of my car and on the bathroom mirror. He knows. He thought I was a cuckoo bird when he first came to my house. He's like, what is going on? Are you a hoarder or what? I just see paper everywhere. Because I think that we're consumed with so much negative messaging on a daily basis that we're not even cognizant of, that makes us doubt ourselves and our personal power. So we have to be intentional about pouring that back in and calling. Literally, we have authority. Calling what we want to our lives. So when you ask, did I see it? I saw it 5 years ago. I didn't have the time because I was having babies and stuff to work on it, but I saw it. As a matter of fact, worked on, putting it on a vision board together of what I wanted. So next is going to be an Egypt Sherrod clothing collection.
Love
Why?
it.
Because I claimed it 5 years ago.
Wow. Girl, when you making all this money, just remember me.
It's not about money, though, right? It's not about money.
It's fulfillment.
It's about impact.
Impact.
Because, and I told this to another radio personality, just like you said, I grew up listening to you, Egypt, which makes me feel old, but I am not.
You are not
I
old.
am not.
People say that to me.
No,
It's a cycle.
Yes, a cycle.
Right.
But another personality who had been in the business for over 40 years,
Yeah.
we were talking to her earlier today, and I said, like, the impact that you had on my life, watching you do it, listening to you growing up, showed me that I could too. So if we don't ever have that one person that breaks the ceiling, how are all the little girls and boys coming up after us going to know and have a compass to show them how far they can go?
And you're talking about the legendary Patty Jackson,
I am.
Yes.
who is also my radio
I am.
mom.
Yes.
And it's so interesting how you have that connection when you are on the radio. People really feel like they know you. So you feel that for Patty.
I do.
And I feel that for you because I grew up in North Jersey and you were on the radio in New York. And this is when you met her, right, Mike?
He was a
Yeah.
DJ like jigga jigga jigga. He was that DJ in the nightclubs and stuff. You know, Maria. And I was crushing on him back
Yeah,
then
you were.
too.
You were.
You were kind of cute.
Who made the move? Who made the first move?
Oh, here she goes down that tunnel.
First move was me.
Okay.
Yeah, first move was me.
He got turned down.
It why you gotta jump? You just jump. There's several versions of this story. We met 4 different occasions. 6 months in between each time, right? But the first time I ever saw her, she was hosting an event. I forget the venue. And
Powerhouse.
It was a powerhouse.
Wow.
And
I've
I just
hosted
happened to
powerhouses.
be.
This is so. I'm sorry. I'm
It's
getting
okay.
chills.
I happened to be headed to the restroom, but the public restroom, because she was behind the barricades in the VIP area.
Of course.
And the bathroom was right in the vicinity of a line where the door was for her to go up. And I saw her. I said, oh my gosh, straight movie moment. Sound gets muffled, light only on her. And
Hair's
I'm like,
flowing in the wind.
pretty much, right? Actually, I think she had a ponytail at that time.
Ponytail flowing in the
So
wind.
I told the security guard, I got to get back there. I started pulling out all type of accolades. Finally let me back there. Ran into her as she's coming out the restroom. And I'm like, can I get your number? And she says, no, but I'll take yours. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh, that's an immediate turn down. Nah. So I gave her a CD, which I knew had my number on it.
Mike, you passed her your demo?
It wasn't my
You was
demo.
rapping, Mike?
Yes, Mina. Thank you. So you coming from radio,
Right, I know that's
you
a
know what
no-no.
that feels like.
Yes.
So even though I was like, God, he is cute. Once he did that, Mina, game over.
Right.
He know you can't have my number. No, please don't call me. No, we are not playing your record. So
Right.
it was that kind of thing. But we ran into each other at different events over the course of months. And the whole time, really, I was like, it's something about that guy. But when he would give me that record, and he did it 3 times, he gave me a mixtape.
No, I gave you an album.
or something, and
The
he
second
kept doing
time.
it. So each time I was like, God, it's something. Oh, here
Here
that's
he
right.
go.
That's why I didn't like him, But it was that one time I was flipping a house and I needed to hire a new team, and my mentor referred him, but I didn't know it was him. I knew him as DJ Fidel, not Mike.
Fidel.
So I'm calling her, hey, come over. He shows up, and I recognized him immediately. And I'm like, I needed a contractor, not a DJ. But the whole time that he was working on the house and all, I was just like, something about a man in a tool belt for me. Sweating and glistening. Oh, something about a man in a
All
tool
over
belt.
my body.
No, my man is handy in the house. That's when I knew, oh, you're it.
Yeah.
You can fix the closet
Yes.
door. Okay, come on.
It just makes you feel soft and girly.
Yeah,
You're
like
just
protected.
he changed the light bulb.
Wait, so the DJing didn't move the needle.
No.
The album definitely didn't move the needle. It was the changing of the light bulb.
What I did wasn't my calling card. And giving the CD and the album wasn't a calling card. That was like my
Hobby.
nervous itch.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was like, okay, you don't want to. Here, take this. You feel what I'm saying? Because again, I knew my information was on it. I didn't care about what was on it audibly or sonically. It was the number that was actually on there.
And to be fair, the album wasn't of him. It was of somebody else.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't
I
know.
was gonna say, did you listen to the album? Was it good?
No, I didn't listen to it, but it turns out it
But
was
she
of
kept the
someone
CD
else.
in her car door.
And,
Because some months later, we're out on a date, and I happened to look down at the door. I was like, oh, she kept that CD. Okay.
That's just because I didn't clean my car.
I love you too. Mike, you have a show now as well, right?
Well, it's not a show that I have. It's I did a hosting of Smart Home 2025, HGTV
Okay.
Smart Home 2025. It's something they do annually.
Okay.
They give away a property, but they have 4 different type of shows where they give away homes. And this year, I was the host of that particular one.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mike. We're going to clap it up for
Yeah,
Mike.
we're going to clap it up because we're going to claim the next year, too.
What are your 5-year goals? Because she's got a clothing line on deck. She's planning out the next 50 years for y'all.
Right. So whatever her goals are, I'm always involved with them. But to add to that, though, we've also been, touring around with the idea of working on a book. Right. So that's something that's in the fire. I'm also part owner of a cologne line called Ovation for Men, one of the top rated Black owned niche fragrance lines out there.
know that's right, Mike.
and
That's how we stayed together so many years. It smells
Yeah,
good.
so it's called Ovation for Men, and then we have Ovation for Men Sport as well. Every man deserves an ovation.
I know that's right.
Well, not every man deserves an ovation. This
and
man does.
My goal is to actually eventually have my own tool line. Right, so we've been putting that in the works as well.
A man that smell good and got a toolbox? What? Swoon.
Right,
too
right, and I'm getting heavy into the nonprofit area where we do some things for the community with the kids and help build up things and projects like that. So
I love that.
We always got something going on over here.
So you guys have 3 daughters. How do you feel being in a house with 4 women, all this estrogen? What happens to you? Like, how do you feel at home?
I'm usually at the gym.
Let me keep this testosterone
working it
going.
off, okay? But to be honest with you, I wouldn't have it any other way. I am a big girl dad advocate, okay? Even as a kid, I always knew that I wanted to have that whole Huxtable vibe of just family. And it just so happens to be that I have 3 girls, which allows me to be the most open, emotionally available person, and I love that. You know, I say loving them more doesn't make you any less of a man. You watch my IG or you see certain clips of me doing my daughter's hair or them allowing them to do my nails, whatever the case may be, is because I love it.
Yeah.
You know, some guys feel like they can't be all of them when they have a girl. Oh, I'm not doing hair, or I'm not helping them pick out clothes. And for me, I say all the time, your presence being there is more valuable than any tangible present that you may purchase them, because the emotional aspect of them remembering being with my dad and he created this memory or this moment is way more priceless than anything else.
I think that sets the standard high too for girls on how a man should treat them. You know, just hey, you got to treat me at least as great as my
daddy,
did.
right?
You have to put in as much time at least as what my dad did. You
Right.
know, type
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
But he can't take it because our eldest, she's in New York working. She's on her own. She's adulting now. We're lucky if we see her, and
We should see her
she's
today, to be honest with you.
dating.
She's not.
She is dating. But when she had her first boyfriend, just by the way, he could not take it. Like, he had a full-on grown man meltdown. Not just, wait, who's dating my daughter? No, it was like, you what? She's what? Who's this? Gets on a plane, flies to New York, asking her friends, who's this guy? Like, flies to New York to want to find out from her friends who this guy is. And I'm like, we've got 2 more to go after this. He's completely gonna lose it. He can't take it.
No, I can't. It's annoying.
Then she has to
it's
get
annoying.
married at some point. You know, you have
That
to let
part.
go.
That's fine. But you just gotta.
Are you going to allow her to get married ever?
I mean, of course. It's just, I don't know. It's hard knowing the knuckleheads that are out here. I just want someone to treat them right. So it's something I think about all the time, especially when I see all the nonsense that's going on social media. And I'm like,
It's rough now.
who's dating who and why did daddy letting them do that? What? Oh, God. I don't want to deal with it. But again, back to what you initially asked, you know, the estrogen amongst our household is heavy because we not only have the girls, we constantly have, you know, the aunties that babysit. Right. So, and then the moms that come visit. So my guys are barely there. I'm always out. Where you guys at? I'm coming to you. Yeah. Right. So again, it's going back to having that me time, which is necessary because you got to have an emotional reset and a mental reset for your own health.
I asked that because my man constantly says you have no idea what it's like being in a room full of all women, and he's like, all of y'all are bossy. You don't take yes. You do whatever you want. And I'm trying to put my head, my mental into that.
Yes.
What is that like? What is he trying to communicate to me? So that's why I asked you.
That's a whole nother podcast in itself.
Right.
It's a lot in that question. But I'll say this: I think in his statement, he's just trying to say that. He just wants you to hear him, right? And understand that I need to be me. I need to be free as well. And I don't know where you're coming from with it, but a lot of men feel like they can't speak their mind because they're either going to be judged, belittled, or taken apart, right? So they want a safe space to just unfold and unravel as well. Right. But they're trying to be hard all the time because they may feel like, oh, they're gonna think I'm soft, and they don't want to be. They don't want to be hardcore all the time. They don't want to be the thug in the house every day.
Thug in the house.
You feel what I'm saying? But That's probably where it's coming from. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I was just asking what that feels like from a man who's been doing it for years, you
Yeah.
know, because we have a 2-year-old and he's like, you have no idea what it's like being in a house with all women. It's crazy, you know? And it's like, I can't even imagine you've been doing this for years. I'm learning, girl. Because we 3 years in from having the baby. She's about to be 3. So then there was the pregnancy before that. And we never lived together. So he didn't move in until I got pregnant. So there's all these things that no one talks about that I'm learning now, that you're literally hitting on the head, that I'm learning as we're going, you know, like really making the space for a partner and what that means, even just not with words, but with actions and things that are not said.
I'm gonna tell you something. Where you are, I didn't know that was your situation. You got a long way to go. No, and I mean, because even if it wasn't someone you were intimate with, just having someone in your home and you're used to certain things, now you gotta, appease their wants and needs and then meet in the middle. It's a lot.
I remember when we first moved in together.
Like, keep the lights on. No, I like my lights here. Turn the temperature down. No, I like my temperature.
That's where we are. That's where we are. And I told them today, I cannot wait to talk to them because I have so many questions. That's where we are.
Yes.
And then we're parenting styles. We have, my daughter's almost 3. Now we're like, well, this should be like this and it should be like that. And we're trying to work through those things.
Oh, I remember. So he was married before me. He had a daughter before we obviously had kids together. It was so annoying because when we had our first child together, his thing was, well, I've been married before. Well, I raised a daughter before. Well, let me show you how to change a diaper. Let me show you how to breastfeed. Yes. Let me show you how to, everything was like, let me show you how to, and I was like, just
let me learn.
Not just learn, but like, this is me coming into my motherhood and into my femininity. Leave it alone. Like, this is my breast. I will feed it the way I want to. You know what I'm saying? So, but there is it's a delicate balance. Here's what I do recommend. Because you say you guys just moved in together. I remember what that was like for us. And he moved in, at first he moved into a house with me, and then we moved into a place together.
Right.
When he first moved in with me, it was tough because, again, this is where I live. I'm used to everything in a space, and I'm taking over all the closets and all the drawers. And so we first moved in, it was like, those 3 drawers are yours. Those 3 are yours.
You can put your shoes
right,
under the bed.
Let's correct that because now it just downloaded on me. I stayed over your house a lot.
But it was like you moved in.
Where we moved in at is we had the
I know. Can I
stay.
finish my story, Michael Jackson?
Go.
So but my point is, that's his name.
I know, but it caught me off guard. Because when you hear Michael Jackson, you think the king of pop.
But it was very difficult, like bringing someone into your life.
Yeah.
I recommend that when you do decide to move in together, don't move into his place and don't let him move into yours. Y'all get a space together because now you're starting over fresh.
Yes.
And it makes it easier to transition right into a shared space.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, he didn't move in until I was pregnant. So I've never lived with anyone, and now I'm learning how to live with someone and be pregnant and be a mom. Ooh. So I want to ask you guys a very personal question. You don't have to answer. But when you're married for 14 years, do you have joint accounts or do you have separate accounts?
That's an easy question.
Both.
Okay.
All 3.
Okay, because that's another thing. You're learning how to do money with someone. And you have like different ideas of what money looks like.
Right.
And I'm like, I need to have my own bank account. And I don't think I'm ever going to let that go. So how do you guys manage that?
Well, here's what I recommend. Always have your own bank account. My Nana told me that. And always stash some under a mattress and always put some in a safe deposit box. Just to always be able to do for yourself.
Yes.
And so I would never relinquish that capability. And I know he felt the same too. And he was raised by a single mom, so he already knew what to expect.
Right.
But as you start building together, our lives are just interlinked and locked everywhere. It makes sense to also have joint accounts and joint investments as well. But I think that you have to identify, okay, so this account is together for a saving for this goal. This account is for the household bills. That's your account. I won't ask you no questions. Go get them shoes, girl. That's your account. Okay, you go ahead and get all your male supplements.
Not the whey protein.
But see, that's why it works, because he doesn't feel like he has to give up anything to be with me, and I don't have to give up anything. It just, it's just like a cherry on top.
Again, not losing yourself in a relationship, right? So my account is my account. However, it's not where don't you dare touch it, don't look at it, nothing. We're still married. So if
So
for
she
some
knows
reason,
how much you got in your account?
No.
I'm not like every day, here's what's in there. But if she wanted to say, can I just see something real quick? Go for it, right? And here's what I mean by that. If for some reason I happen to go to the hospital and she needs to get into it, go. Like I can't be, and here's why I say that. If you're in a relationship and there's time, you're doing business together, it's time to do taxes, right? Which we have to do. Okay, babe, the tax guy needs to see your bank account and my bank account, which now we both have privy to, right?
Yeah.
So I'm saying to those that may be listening, usually like, oh, I got my own account, I'm be doing what I need to do willy-nilly, but you're out there doing something willy-nilly you shouldn't be, and shows up on your account.
That's why a lot of people don't want to show. But so we have a couple that we absolutely love and look up to. Montel Jordan, you know Montel and his wife Kristen, they're friends of ours as well, and they've been on our podcast, the Marriage and Money podcast, and they actually said to us, when you don't share everything, like everything has to be joint. If you don't share everything, you're setting yourself up for what comes after. And we sat there and sparred, didn't we, for an hour? And because I was like, that's not true. And they're like, yes, it is. If you're trying to keep something separate, it's because in your mind, you're thinking one day we're going to be separate. And our thing was, no, we're just free with our relationship. And we just, we have to have that anonymity as well. That's what works for us. So ultimately what I'm taking from that and giving to you is different strokes for different folks. You in your relationship have to define what your level of comfortability is, and so does your spouse or your mate, and what your boundaries are going to be. Financial infidelity is what breaks people up.
Yes.
So you have to be able to have very honest and intimate
I've
conversations.
never heard that. And I talk to a lot of people. Financial infidelity, hiding money, being deceitful about money,
using money improperly.
Wow.
Yeah. So the joint account, we both know what it's for.
Yeah.
That's household, that's business, that's the kids, whatever, and it's not, oh, I'm going to just use it. Hey, I'm getting ready to take something out of there. Okay, cool, whatever.
I think I'm going to implement that. The joint account, so like all the household bills comes out of there, so everybody knows what's happening. Yeah.
Now, and here's the thing too. On my account, if I go swipe and go eat 10 burgers tonight, don't say nothing because it's my account. I'm enjoying my night right now. You feel what I'm saying?
Michael Jackson.
But if I did that on a joint account, then it's a different situation. So that works for us.
Well, look, this is inspiring. I really look up to you two, how you can make it work, working and having a personal relationship, because some people can't even hold the personal together, let alone going to work with your spouse.
That's true.
So you guys are really a source of inspiration. Why do you keep inspiring me, Egypt?
I don't know,
He
girl.
was on the radio.
When you're done with radio, come over and work with me.
Well, I have 2 properties, so I think I'm headed into that area because, as you know, radio is not the most stable, and then you have to build some stability under that, or you're gonna have to move from place to place.
And that was, you started this entire interview off with asking about that.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was just not wanting anyone to ever be able to rip the rug from under me again, but also wanting to be the co-creator of my own financial destiny. And we know that radio has been a shrinking business. More and more people are doing podcasts now as well, or we're all consuming information from different ways. Radio is not what it was back when I started and we were still splicing things together in the studio. And so when you recognize that kind of change on the horizon, you have to shift or get left behind. And it also will require us sometimes to dig deep and figure out what other talents, skills, and abilities we have that we can develop. Because guess what? My radio made way for me to be able to eventually be in television, but in no way the way I thought. Like now hosting music videos.
I'm transitioning there, so I know what that feels like.
But sometimes what's going to happen is you're going to have to just give in and submit, right? And be prepared to fall. Be prepared to fall. So what if you fail? You can get back up. I'm going to try it. I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to do it. And until we are comfortable with being able to fall, we're never going to be able to grow. And that's just it. You can only grow when you stretch yourself and when you fall and get back up. That's called resilience.
Was it clear to you when you were doing radio, it's time to leave, or was it forced?
It was, I knew about 3 years before I was done with radio that it was time. So we had to map out what that looked like, right? Because it was the safety net with the benefits.
So you guys were together
Yeah.
already. Okay.
We were in New Jersey. We were living in Jersey, and I was on the radio in New York. I was also pregnant towards the end of that. And what happened was this. I'm working full time. I've been in radio like 18 years at that point. And now I'm getting ready to have a baby, and everybody's telling me that they're not going to pay my health benefits. See, in New York, there's a union. But then there's also the radio station. I was considered an employee. All the other employees, including the males, were getting their health benefits when they had to go out for surgeries and what have you. They had their health benefits covered. When it came time for me to deliver my child, they told me I wasn't covered. The union had to cover me. The union said, we can't cover you. They got to cover you. And they argued about it for 9 months. Now I got to give birth to a baby, and I don't have health benefits. This is insane. It should have been a lawsuit. But instead, God took me to Atlanta. He kept telling us it's time to go to grow. So we just went. And guess what? Look at how things were provided. Had another job to help me transition in Atlanta. It was radio, and I knew I was done with radio at that time, but it was the benefits that I needed. I gave birth to my baby, and they paid for the benefits, even though I wasn't yet working there.
Wow.
You got to bet on yourself. And I'm telling you, when you do, the universe will support you and follow. So
I'm considered, at the time I was doing 2 radio shifts, I'm considered an independent contractor. I had my health insurance through the state. And people like to talk about Obamacare and all of that, but this opened up the ability for people to get their own independent insurance without medical. And that was a game changer. So thankfully I had insurance through that, but because I'm considered an independent contractor and I'm contracted, that's how I had to, when I gave birth, I was on the state insurance. So it's one of those things where it's literally still happening.
yeah. It is still happening. I mean, it's unfortunate. But really, answering honestly, we always know when it's time to go. The question is, will we face our fear and apprehension, or will we settle back into what is comfortable? I promise you that when you stand up and you face that fear and that apprehension and whatever it is holding you back, and you push past it anyway, therein lies your victory. Therein lies your success. Because had I never done that, had I never leapt and just said, you know what, babe, we're going to do this and figure this out. I don't care. I don't need to be on TV, and I don't need to be on radio in front of people. We're going to live a quiet little life, and I'm going to sell real estate. That was where our victory came from.
Right.
Pushing past it.
Thank you, guys. You're an inspiration to us all. We will be watching you. Indigo Road is now at JCPenny and Target.com and Wayfair.com and Indigo
Amazon.
Road. And at what?
And on IndigoRoad.com.
We done skipped right over Amazon. When did that happen?
That's all our home furnishing. Some of them are on there. But if you want
Egypt,
to
when did
see,
this happen?
if you want to see, it's been over 2 years of just growing.
Wow.
But if you want to see the entire collection, it's on IndigoRoad.com. Yeah.
There it is. And we will be watching you.
Thank you.
Consistently rated top 5 HGTV show, right?
And if we're not there, follow us wherever we go.
Yes.
You can watch it on Stream on Max, which is HBO
we're on
Max.
HBO Max now.
Well, it's always been there. They show it on HGTV, and then they show it on their streaming stations because it's all one parent. They're all one company. HBO Max, Discovery Plus. We just happened to come across and saw us on Prime. We're on Roku.
I was like, wait.
Right,
we're
so
on
HGTV
Amazon
Go.
Prime.
We're
How
on
does that
Hulu.
work? Aren't you supposed to get paid
not
for
talk about that.
licensing? Oh, okay. How does it just pop? Wow, okay. That's a whole other conversation. I just hit a bump right there.
Hey. And then you can watch Marriage Money Podcast.
I love it. Egypt Sherrod and Michael Jackson, Mike Jackson.
Oh, you just had to. She had to elongate it.
From Married to Real Estate and Indigo Road. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for joining us here on the Mina South Podcast. It's Mina Say What.